You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, Days fans. Belinda from Soap Dirt here, and I've got some exciting news from the soap opera's showrunner, Ron Carlivati. News about Gabi Hernandez and her recast, Eric Brady and his big storyline, and some really juicy info from behind the scenes at the NBC Peacock drama. Before we dive in, though, please subscribe if you have not. All right. So, in case you didn't know it, the scenes you're seeing now and have been seeing for the past few months were not written by showrunner and head writer Ron Carlivati. His scenes haven't been on the air in quite some time. It was late 2023, around Thanksgiving, when we last saw Carlivati's work on the streaming soap. And from January through the end of May, it's been all replacement writers' work. You remember that WGA strike that seems like such a distant memory now? The writers' strike ended in September 2023, and the writers headed back to work. But the replacement writers that worked on the replacement writers' scenes and scripts for the other three soaps for B&B, Y&R, and GH, they've long since aired. So it's kind of a distant, messy memory what the replacement writers did on those soaps. But over on Days of Our Lives, because they filmed 6 to 7 months ahead, we are still seeing the replacement writers' work that Ron Carlivati is not too enthused about. And as of the last day of May, though, it's his work again. As of May 31st, Ron Carlivati's scripts are back in play. And he recently spoke about what he got to write of the storylines that were happening when he resumed and what he missed out on writing that has him a little upset. So there's some really good spoiler tidbits in the mix. When he talked to TV Insider, he said waiting for the replacement writers' episodes to end was very tough, and he was anxious to see his writing team and their work back on the screen. And he said his core team of writers had written through Thanksgiving, so from then till now, it's been replacement writer scripts on Days. And he said he felt like the replacement writers were intentionally moving plots slowly, thinking that the strike was going to end, and that they, then the regular writers would come back in, pick up where the scab writers left off, but then the strike just kept going on and on and on. So we saw a slower pace and then a faster pace, I think, when they realized things were going to crap, and then maybe a slower pace when they realized it was about to resolve. It's been kind of weird in the pacing. So Carlivati said his approach to this strike in 2023 was very much like his approach to the big strike in 2008 when he was head writer at One Life to Live. When he got to come back to work on OLTL and on Days this time, he said he immediately started steering the ship back towards his vision for the soap, and he wanted to blow up things and just cut things out that he didn't like that were happening. So he said some things are going to just be gone very quickly, over with, because he didn't like them. So no word on what those are going to be, but I think we all have a few ideas. So he was happy to see that some of the big storylines that he began hadn't ended yet, like Alex Kiriakis being the false heir to Victor Kiriakis' fortune, the reveal that Eric Brady is the real bio father of Nicole's son Jude. He said he was very pleased to write the reveal that Eric's the daddy. So that's good news to hear, because I wondered and worried if Eric's role as the bio dad might not be revealed anytime soon or not at all. Some paternity reveals on Days honestly have taken years to come to light. So the good news is this one is going to happen much faster. I fully expect it to be before Ari Zucker leaves in late July this year. And Carlivati also revealed that he brought Sloan back in for the confrontation with Nicole that we're going to see on Friday. He said the replacement writers just had Sloan leave town without a backwards glance, and he said it was nuts that they didn't write one last showdown between them where Nicole got to scream at Sloan for stealing her baby, robbing her of the first 6 months of his life, all that. So we're going to see this confrontation by the end of this week and then a punch. I also wonder if, I'm curious to see, because we've seen in the promo where she gets punched, but I wonder if the hat stays on Sloan, if it stays on Jessica Serfati, because she'd already moved on to other things. maybe her hair was totally different and that's why they had her up in the ball cap. But we'll see. We'll watch what happens on Friday. And then Sloane exits either on the run or to jail. I suspect on the run. We'll just have to wait and see what Carlivati created as one of these first storylines that he got to jump back into upon his return to the boss chair at Days. And another big storyline he was happy to craft, he says, was Teresa Donovan being outed as a liar and a forger, and Xander getting back his birthright. Carlivati said that reveal is something big that he got to play with. So watch for some hints. By the way, on the Friday, May 31st episode, that the material changed from replacement writers back to the core writing team led by Ron Carlivati. He said they had dropped some little Easter eggs, some winks to the audience to let them know the regime change was in effect. And we're definitely going to keep an eye on that. He also mentioned that some of the other first things he got to write upon his return were Maggie Horton's wedding to awful Konstantin Meleounis. That should be explosive. He said they're on the path to Eric finding out Jude is really his son. And he also said Li Shin's murder mystery and Gabi Hernandez prison release were begun by the replacement writers, but that's what he was planning all along. So he said that was all right. And he promised twists and turns and a new Gabi who's out of jail to shake up things. So he confirmed the recast and he called all of that really fun. We know Cherie Jimenez landed the role. We reported the leak quite a while ago here. And then when Days revealed her first one of her first behind the scenes shots on the show, it basically confirmed our leak, and now we have further confirmation from Ron Carlivati. And of course, the biggest thing for him to write back as head writer was the 15,000th episode, which they decided to coincide with the funeral of Doug Williams and tribute to late great actor Bill Hayes, who passed away late January 2024. He said they worked very hard to honor both Doug and Bill, and said he knows that it's what Bill's wife Susan Seaforth Hayes wanted, and said he thinks it's also what Bill would have wanted. And I'm sure after working that long with him, he knows. And he said they brought back a lot of people to honor Doug, and they did. We did a standalone video of all the people coming back. You can see it on our Days playlist, and I'll also drop it at the end of this video. So if you stay to the end, it'll be the video on the right. He also thanked Days fans for sticking with the soap after they moved to Peacock and being loyal for so many years, 15,000 episodes worth of years. And Carlivati said he's very excited to be back. He promised great story coming up and said, if you stopped watching and dipped out, time to dip back in. I personally am very excited. I'm a huge fan of Ron Carlivati's, have been for years. When he was head writer at General Hospital, he created many of my favorite characters, and I really do enjoy his work on Days of Our Lives. I'm thrilled to see his scripts resume, and I'm going to be watching, and I hope you're watching, for those Easter eggs they dropped in the May 31st episode to acknowledge his return to the seat of power. Yay. Very excited. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely drop your comments about Ron Carlivati's return and come back soon. We are here talking Days of Our Lives 7 days a week. And as always, I'm your host, Belinda from Soap Dirt.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.